All right. So welcome everybody. This is a profoundly group chat. I'm excited to be doing this. I've been wanting to talk to the pros in our community. We have a lot of people with incredible diverse backgrounds and different perspectives, and I think helping us all get to know one another and sharing how we do things, what we do, will be really great for the community, help us all learn and know who's here with us. So for this chat, the idea that Brian and I came up with was particularly as we get folks who are interested in doing consulting and freelance in the community, but have not before. And even those of us who have been doing it for a while and maybe don't have the greatest systems in place, learning how other people approach the kind of common challenges and opportunities that we have is a great way to kind of see boots on the ground, what's going on, what people are doing. And if we identify some things that we can co-solve, then let's do that. So we have Gene Christofferson and Ryan Ginsberg here to talk about their systems. We talked about focusing on the kind of lead sales and kind of what I call administrivia of running that side of the business, and just get together, talk about our systems and little show and tell as much as we can safely show about that. So I'll throw it over to y'all to kind of give a quick introduction of who you are, the kind of projects you work on, and a high-level overview of your process. You can choose who goes first.
I'll go first since was first on the list that was listed in terms of I am Jean Christofferson and my company is Relevant Speed, and I focus on HubSpot consulting work I'm a HubSpot partner in addition to a profoundly certified pro, and I focus on sales, marketing, and service hubs. I have a technical background as a C++ software engineer. I did a number of startups, and one of them in particular was a SaaS company. And SaaS is an addictive because you get revenue as long as your servers are up and running, your team is delivering. So when that is done and I transition to working for consulting, I want to replicate the same sort of automated systems.
Nice, excellent.
Hey everyone. My name is Ryan Ginsberg. I'm the owner, founder of Unified Support Solutions. Relatively new to running my own business. But what I specialize in is HubSpot Operations Hub and UI extensions, which are the kind of the new fun toys in the HubSpot ecosystem. So essentially, I focus on CRM development and extension. I have a mix of projects that are hourly based, one-off problems that clients need help solving for, project based, which are larger scope projects that may need extra resources that I need to onboard or leverage. We also sometimes, and more often than not, transition from project based to retainer based, where essentially an embedded technical resource supporting the HubSpot system and any other connected integrations that we've kind of put together as part of the engagement. I do all of my marketing is by myself. I try to leverage either my referrals from previous clients or within several HubSpot focus communities where giving information is easy to do and building relationships is an important part, but I don't do any scaling of marketing. Marketing is one of my weak spots I hope to improve. So I do not run any of my business on HubSpot, though I do have an account and understand the product and platform very well and what it's capable of. Just don't have a particular need to build it all now. Maybe one day.
Yeah, and that's fascinating. So the uh, Gene, I want to ask you kind of in
Sure.
contrast to that, where, Ryan is not, and Ryan, I'll ask you for details about this in a second, isn't running his like marketing and sales through HubSpot. Are you doing that? Like, are you using deals for tracking revenue, that kind of thing?
Yeah, and whenever you want to have a quick little presentation to share the screenshots of how I do everything in HubSpot, automated, so I don't have to think about it for the most part.
Yeah, let's do that real quick, and then we'll come back to Ryan and get that contrast.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, but I was used the wrong menu here. Okay, so view slideshow. So oops, that's not right. Hold on a second.
You give us a real slideshow.
Yeah, exactly. Why is that? Uh, let's go back to Chrome. Here we go. Okay. So this is inside of HubSpot. This is the invoicing dashboard. And payments and invoicing is included in every single HubSpot account. You don't have to be, pro or enterprise or anything else. And so you'll notice that all of these invoice statuses are paid with the exception of this one that is listed open. This is a legacy customer that I've had for years, and they insist upon paying by check, and I invoice them through QuickBooks Online because that's what they're used to, and they pay me eventually. And I have the data sync there. So my QuickBooks Online is synced up with HubSpot. So when they do pay, that will be matched up. When they pay and it comes into the bank, there's a reconciliation I have to do. So what I love is that I almost never am looking at this. It just happens automatically. Because most of mine are retainers, so they're invoicing automatically. I do have some contracts that I do that are project-based, and so this is how you do a payment link set up inside of HubSpot. So if it's a brand new customer, I will have done a statement of work and PandaDoc, and they will have signed it and agreed to it, and everything's great. And then they get I set up the invoice. And so this is simple. You can add as many line items as you want, number of hours. You can have your products inside a HubSpot so you don't have to rethink them every single time. You can add a discount for them if you want. And there, it creates a deal that is associated with that. It's an option for you to create the deal. This is what it looks like when you're previewing it. So you can see what the customers, there's the link that you're going to give them. I've never done a QR code, doesn't work for my style of business. I also don't embed the code, which, might be good if you were doing a product on a website you were selling. But I copy the link, and this is what they're going to see. What I love also about HubSpot payment systems is that they support ACH. And so not all my customers will use it. I'll take whatever payment method that they want to use. But when they pay by ACH, everybody's happy.
Yeah, fantastic. Can I ask that question on
Sure,
that real quick? So
sure,
so the I don't know, Rails, whatever. You have Stripe connected, is that right? And so
correct.
okay,
To
so
HubSpot,
HubSpot is processing the payments, and then Stripe is getting it to your bank. Okay,
correct.
great.
Right, and that's through HubSpot payment system. So it's Stripe. And so here's the email that I'll send, something like this to the customer. And this could be automated further, like if they needed enough, something more formal. But most of these people I've talked to, we're just, you know, finishing the last thing. And if this is a reoccurring revenue where it's set up as a subscription in HubSpot, they only do this once. And I have customers that are years on, the system's processing their payments. I'm serving them and talking to them on whatever schedule basis we've set up, but I don't have to manage this administrative task anymore. It's handled by HubSpot. So they send the link, they click on it, and then this is what I'll see in the record. There's, a deal associated. I didn't show, or this is the panel for the deal that's associated with a line items, and I can see that they have paid. And on the right is the screen that you see with the associated payment. So I know what's going on with it and why, like ACH is, it's just a $10 charge on the ACH payment. So
That's what I was going to ask is what's the overhead fees that are being paid in each of the possible payment cases?
right, so it's $10 for ACH, and then if it's credit card, it's the standard Stripe payment, which is about a little slightly less than 3%, I believe. When I ran my SaaS company, we were able to negotiate down to below 2% for most transactions because of the volume that we're doing. Here, HubSpot's getting that volume, and but it's fine. I'll happily pay the 3% to get the money in my bank without having to chase anybody down.
Yeah, checks.
Yeah, I know.
Uh,
You're going to send me a paper check.
oh
I
yeah,
can deposit it online, without having to go to the bank, but still,
yeah.
it's not not the modern world.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you for that walkthrough. We may call you for some future, more in-depth things. I think there's a lot that we could drill down on. You pointed out a couple of things that are perennial pains for me in my systems where I can improve. So that would be great. Um, Ryan, you described your projects kind of being kind of a lot more diverse sources. It sounds like, particularly transitioning like product into retainer, aside from obviously, or project into retainer, excuse me. We obviously would all love to be more effective at that, but from a system standpoint, how do you manage that kind of thing?
Yeah, I can show you kind of how things work. I didn't put together a deck, so there's probably you're gonna see a lot of like data that I have, so shouldn't be a problem. But once I once I engage with a prospect, which typically happens over Slack, we'll have several conversations. I'll actually put together a scope of work using Google Docs. So I'll leverage a series of AI tools and then a Google Doc, which also supports e-signatures. So it's all free, part of my subscription. So once I'll get kind of a signature on there, all of my pricing documentation is stored in Google. I'll be able to then start on the project. So I focus more on project execution and deliverables, and I do all my invoicing once project is essentially accepted by the client or completed. I try to keep things as flexible and focus on value first. Once the project's done, I'll come over here and I'll add them as a customer. And so this is going to be where I can then add all the customer details. Some of my clients that I've worked with are actually part of the QuickBooks network. And so typing in
Mm,
like company details, it'll actually pull in other connected QuickBooks accounts and
yeah,
populate that information, and the payments and how they pay you and how you receive money is much more optimized within the QuickBooks network. It's not every time this happens, but it is quite an interesting thing when you can just find them kind of already in the system like this.
yeah, that's great. So you're kind of running your entire operation side there within QuickBooks,
That is correct. I
except for the like details of the sow that's going in your Drive
yes.
archive. Okay. Excellent. The something that I've encountered, like right now, uh, 2/3 of my clients use Bill.com, and that kind of for my client work popped up out of nowhere in around 2019. Um, it handles the payment and for particularly clients that want an invoice every month for their accounting purposes, and then sending payment through Bill.com. Have either of you interacted with that, or am I the odd duck where I'm the only one who's getting a lot of Bill.com clients?
No, I've dealt with Bill.com and Ramp also, those two.
Mhm.
And, again, a large retainer client that I'll just adhere to their issues. It will, and do what they want. It will get back to my HubSpot by coming in through QuickBooks, and then automatically, instead of saying waiting for payment, it'll show us paid automatically.
Yeah. Okay. It sounds like it would be the same thing for you, Ryan, because that would, yeah, come back through the QuickBooks path. Um, so in terms of connecting, the other side for those of us who do some form of time tracking, whether it's hourly billing or just for utilization, do you try to connect that to your invoicing for calculating profitability or for where your total effort is going? Uh, how, if at all, do you manage that?
I personally don't do any time tracking. I will estimate my projects based on the details that I have. And if I go over, that's my responsibility on the project scoping. If it's an hourly engagement, I try to stay within the assigned hours, but for the most part, again, I think I want to focus on outcomes and deliverables and value instead of time and hours spent on specific tasks. So that's where I will estimate the effort and invoice on hours or by project. And then if we're in a retainer based, it's just a fixed fee per month, and they have my full attention and direct access.
I do track my hours, even though I am mostly billing only on a retainer basis or a fixed price bid. And the reason for tracking the hours is, I use a system called Timely that I think they're out of Norway or something. I've been using them since like maybe 2015. And I just liked at the end of the day to see all these colored panels that show what I did that day. And they have a memory feature where it could pay attention to my computer and automatically create my things for me. But I don't like that because I'm a little too ADHD and I jump around too much. And it just feels a little too intrusive. And so I just have the color block showing, and now I have one for Profoundly, work I did on Profoundly. And so it does um, show work I do for me in the business, work I do for learning, for certifications and so forth, and then for clients. And mostly clients never see these. This is for me to measure, and I don't look at it monthly, even maybe once a quarter when I'm bidding on a new project for that client. Then I'll look back and see, or if I have this feeling like, gosh, I've been working so much for this client, and I'll look and see, well, what was it really? Is it just I was unhappy with it, or I actually did it? So it's not tied into anything though with my invoicing or into HubSpot either. They don't support that.
Yeah, my approach is I also I kind of estimate allocation and use that to feed into the retainer amounts. 95% of my work is retainers, and and so I figure like they're going to want about this level of effort, and then I you know say like I would like to make X dollars an hour, and then I pad both of those numbers and give a proposal at that level. The I don't ever show that to anybody, but it is nice slash painful at the end of the month when I close out those projects to look and see like, ooh, that bar is a lot further on the thermometer graph than I would like it to be. I'm way overspending. I talk about having projects having an anticipated level of effort, ALOE, and then at any given point in the month, I have budget utilized right now. So I have allo and burn. And at the end of the month, you want to have more allo than you have burn. And that's how I keep track of things. Um, all right. I want to jump over and let folks ask any questions. Let me real quick button up and make sure it's I wanted to follow up, Gene. I think you said you are doing, this is the one thing that Ryan covered in detail that I don't recall from your walkthrough, is your quotes and statements of work. Are you doing that out of HubSpot as well, like sending those for approval? Oh, you
No,
said
I use
PandaDoc.
PandaDoc.
Okay.
HubSpot, while I could use it, it doesn't, it's more like just the invoice. Whereas I want to have more text and pictures and personalize it more. So,
Okay. And then presumably if there's an NDA or something like that, you're doing those templates out of PandaDoc as
yeah,
well. Okay.
yeah.
Ryan, do you use something like that for those kind of additional contract, or you also do that out of Google Docs?
It'll all be mostly out of Google Docs. So I don't have any standard template because each project and the project requirements and the business requirements kind of all vary. So it's I want to be as adaptable as possible to change.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Well, I think, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong. If people have questions, they can just kind of come off mute, and if we talk over each other, we'll figure it out. Ask away.
Very specific question here. Uh, both interesting processes. I didn't hear anything about reconciling payments and things like that to your bank account. How does that work in both of your cases?
Um, QuickBooks Online is hooked up to my bank account, so all the transactions come in, and it does a great job of reconciling. Mostly everything matches. I may have to train it once, and then it recalls, and does it again. In QuickBooks, I really don't care. It's all in a stream of, I don't deal with the individual customer in QuickBooks, unlike Ryan does. I just have my lines of business, so my retainers and my projects, and then I have legacy customers. And so I don't worry about who in QuickBooks.
So does that get reflected back up into HubSpot? In other words, can you manage payments or non-payments or delays, basically amounts outstanding, that's stuff in HubSpot, or do you basically then roll down to QuickBooks to see those?
Almost everybody in HubSpot for me is a automatic, like if it's a one-off and they don't pay me, I actually think I've never had that happen. It's only the check guys. And so they're in
Good for you.
QuickBooks,
Good
and
customers.
I gotta send them an email and call them up and say, what's going on with your check? Check's in the mail.
Checks are awkward these days, actually. So
Yeah, I'm down to one customer.
yeah.
Jean, could you do that, like that follow-up within HubSpot as well?
I certainly could. I mean, I send emails, so that's going to be captured in HubSpot.
Yeah.
And this is part of the problem of being a pro. I currently don't have pro HubSpot because of the cost. So I had it in the past, and at a certain point, I'm like, that's a big hit on my business expenses, and I get to play all day in enterprise HubSpot instances, but the the cobbler's children have no shoes.
Even as a partner, you don't get a good deal on that. So that's how I got pro.
Yeah, that's funny. I'll throw out on that I was on Starter Everything as well. I emailed my partner manager and said like, hey, my account went through the seat transition, and I said like, hey, I just want one pro
Yeah,
sales seat. Can you upgrade me? And
yeah.
because I went through the transition, I had 3 core seats that as a solo person I'm not using. So I just said like, hey, can I trade those in for one pro seat? And they did it. And that means I actually have like a fairly significant account credit because relative to my size, because it's taking away 3 $75 seats for one $100 seat. So you may,
I'll
hot tip to
try that.
anybody, see if
Yeah.
you can talk your, because if you go through the checkout, they want you to do 3 minimum sales. So go to your partner manager and see if you can get cash those in for a single pro sales seat.
I'm using one, or I'm using 2 right now. I mean, I need 2, so I only have
Right.
1 to play with, but that's a good, I'll try.
Yeah. Any other questions? Anything anybody wants to throw out?
I was going to just
Yeah.
throw in a contrasting approach, which I haven't heard anyone speak to. It's I use Hub. I could explain the business, but I'll just jump to the how it's done. I use HubSpot for tracking deals, for communications with customers and things like that. And then when they become a customer, it syncs across to my Zoho Books account. And Zoho Books does invoicing and bank account reconciliation for me and things like that, for my retainers, for my hourly rates, and things like that. So that's been convenient for me, and it sort of predates HubSpot's attempts to set up their own kind of commerce system. So I've been doing this for 8 years, so some of my systems kind of reflect the state of HubSpot when I started this work, rather than necessarily how you might do it if you were starting out fresh now.
Yeah, we have all been there as
Yeah.
HubSpot pros, let me tell you.
And at one point I was a partner and got a preferential deal to get Content Hub, as it was called, CMS at the time, right? So I have a HubSpot website as well, so all that kind of syncs up pretty well, and I retain the partner pricing even though they threw me out of the partner program. So
I also have a HubSpot website. It's on, CMS. And when I came in, I initially thought, oh, I'm all technical. I can do that. And then I found out I really don't like that. I love the CRM. And so that's where I'm staying.
so
That's good to know, because I'm in a position where, I do gig work right now, but I'm going to be going full-time consulting next year. And so so right now I go mostly through, most of my clients come through agencies that I've worked with in the past. And so I just go, I'll just charge however they do it. In some cases, I'm putting my hours in a spreadsheet, and some of them I'm invoicing directly, and I'll just do that through Harvest mostly.
Mhm.
But I want to be able to set up my system. I want to be able to set up all my systems as much through HubSpot as I can. And so starting fresh, it's kind of nice to hear where you guys have been and where you are now.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
let me know if you need help setting up payments through HubSpot, because it's really not that hard, but there's a few little tricks.
Yeah, you might get some takers on that one.
Yeah, I was afraid that the
Yeah.
fees might be excessive using HubSpot payments, but it sounds from you that it's quite a reasonable amount. So
Well, it depends on the level, what you're invoicing at, like if you're doing it I do have a couple legacy customers that are being invoiced very small amounts, but I don't really look at that margin that, that they take from Stripe. It's more, my time is worth more.
fair.
Sorry, I want to point out something just that a colleague told me years ago. Jeanette, something you said reminded me of this. I had a colleague that ran a creative agency for years, and we were doing client work and remarking on some of the painful client processes. And she said, the black hole that sucks you in client services is always that you end up taking on the worst aspect of every engagement, right? So if you've got a client who's a bad communicator, if you are not watching out, it makes you a bad communicator because you have to react to the way that they communicate. And if they are bad with deadlines, if you don't watch out, you end up bad with deadlines. And the more clients you have, the worse that gets, right? Because everybody has something that's a weakness, and you got to fight the black hole pulling you into being the worst at everything because you're getting pulled in so many directions. I think we're at time. We want to be respectful. If there's any last question or something that we want to get, somebody can get it in, and anybody that needs to jump can jump. And
Has
then
anyone got a
we'll
wish
go.
list of things that they would prefer to do? I don't know, better. If they started again, what would they prefer to do?
Sales and marketing, that's what I'm here at profoundly.
Well, I meant mechanically as far as this whole process is concerned, but
I'm as long as it's automated, I'm happy.
okay.
Right now, I think my biggest focus, what I need to do more of, is I do want to have a repeatable sales process. I think it's just like a difficult market to find, good clients that are willing to pay the rates that I think we all deserve to do the work that we love. And those opportunities, when you find them, they're fantastic. They build great relationships, but there's not enough. And so building out a way to repeat my offerings to the world outside of just my small development Slack communities is something that I really want to do. And I want to use HubSpot for everything, but I think I think there is a cost limitation to enabling that, right? And so I'm at a point where I'm trying to figure out what's the most cost effective, cheapest way and putting automation to the side for now. So I think I love automating stuff and I love writing code and I love all of those steps, but I just don't need it. I'm too small.
Yeah, well put. Well, thanks everybody. Great questions. Thank you, Ryan and Jean, for being brave enough to show us your systems and talk through it. We all have subpar systems. As the more that we look at these things, the more that I kind of realize that. So I think we're going to call it and let everybody get back to their day. Looking forward to doing this another time in the future. Please tell us in the Slack community if there are things that you would love to share, things that you would like to learn from other pros. We want to hear that and give everybody an opportunity to engage with their peers here in Profoundly. I think that's all for now. Everybody have a great day.